After all the jokes made about the iPhone X's notch, who knew that it would end up becoming the next big thing? Well, think about it. If you make a truly borderless display, where are you supposed to put the front camera, sensors and everything else that deserves a spot on your phone's face? Even the developer preview of Android P shows settings that accommodate various notch sizes. Could the next Pixel phones have notches too? Now, utility aside, the notch is shaping up to be the new outline for smartphones, and these Android phones are the ones leading the way in India. Meet the new lineup of notch smartphones making their way to India soon. The Vivo V9 will be the first Android phone with a notch to be released in India. It's already listed on Amazon India with a scheduled launch on March 23rd. In fact, pre-orders for the device will start at 3 p.m. on the same day. Now we know for sure that the device will have a dual rear camera setup with an LED flash. The front notch will integrate a selfie camera with AI features including AI face beauty, gender detection and AR stickers. Though official specs have not yet been confirmed, rumors suggest that the Vivo V9 screen will be a 6-inch AMOLED panel and its resolution will be Full HD+. The phone is also rumored to have a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, which is likely to be the Snapdragon 660, along with 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, and a 3250 mAh battery. The Vivo V9 will reportedly also run FunTouch OS 4.0, which is based on Android 8 Oreo. It could go on sale in India priced at around 25,000 rupees. This is also one of the first notched Android phones to have an official launch date in India. The Oppo F7 is more than just a design update to the Oppo F5 from what we know so far. Aside from the notch, the phone will have a 6.2-inch Full HD Plus panel with a 19:9 aspect ratio, giving it an 89.09% screen-to-body ratio. The Oppo F7 will support gestures much like the iPhone X to let users navigate between apps. Of course, if it's an Oppo, then selfies are going to be pretty high priority. This phone will boast of a 25-megapixel front camera with features such as AI selfies, AI beauty, and real-time HDR. You won't have to wait too long to see the final product as it's set to release in India on March 26th. Unveiled at this year's MWC, these were the first Android smartphones showcased to the world with prominent iPhone X-like notches. While the Zenfone 5 seems to have some pretty decent specs, with a Snapdragon 636 SoC paired with 4 or 6GB of RAM, it's the flagship Zenfone 5Z that has really caught our fancy. It's powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 SoC with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage in the base variant at a starting price of €479, which is roughly 38,400 rupees. Now the Zenfone 5Z will also be available in a middle-of-the-line version with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage, and a top-end variant that goes all the way to 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. It does seem that this phone will offer a lot of value for money thanks to its flagship specifications. Now the devices are set for an international release starting with the Zenfone 5 in April and the Zenfone 5Z in June. No details about their India launches have been announced yet though. The Oppo R15 will be the new flagship for the Chinese brand, and it could also give us a clue as to what the next OnePlus phone would look like. But we'll get to that in a bit. The Oppo R15 will have a relatively smaller notch compared to the prominent one on the iPhone X, but it still manages to pack in a 20-megapixel front camera with an f2.0 aperture lens in that space. The phone features a 6.28-inch Full HD Plus OLED screen with a 19:9 aspect ratio and runs on ColorOS 5 that's based on Android 8.1 Oreo. As for specifications, it boasts of an octa-core MediaTek Helio P20 SoC with 6GB of RAM and a 16 plus 5 megapixel dual camera setup. The R15 also has a twin sibling in the form of the Oppo R15 Dream Mirror Edition, which has a ceramic back, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 SoC, and a 20 plus 16 megapixel dual camera setup on the back. Now both phones have been announced in China and could be making their way to India pretty soon. Oppo's flagship smartphones in the recent past have provided a blueprint to what we can expect from the next OnePlus model. With the Oppo R15 officially announced in China on Monday, we have an idea of what the OnePlus 6 might look like. Now the OnePlus 6 is expected to launch by June, and if the R15 is any indicator, then the new OnePlus flagship will have a similar small notch at the top of its screen. If that's the case, then a 19:9 aspect with a 6.28-inch OLED Full HD Plus display could be expected as well. Now with the kind of premium specifications it will most likely boast of, we do expect this to come at a price point closer to the 50,000 rupee mark. Now we'll know for sure over the coming months. Huawei's new P20 smartphone family all have different specifications, but they do have one thing in common. You guessed it, the notch. An international launch event is planned for March 27th, at which the company's new Huawei P20 series will likely be unveiled. The most notable feature of the P20 and the P20 Pro is the new triple rear camera setup that both these phones boast of. The latest reports suggest that the P20 Pro will have a 40 megapixel primary rear camera, as well as an 8 megapixel telephoto sensor and a 20 megapixel monochrome sensor. Now, will the P20 also have the same setup? We'll know for sure in a few days. The P20 Lite, however, will have a dual camera setup like most others in this price range. Yes, that's why they call it Lite. Vivo recently launched 3 models in its new X21 series. While all 3 models have a glorious notch at the top, we are a lot more interested in the 128GB storage model that sports an under-display fingerprint sensor. Now, we did get a chance to try this out on the Vivo X20 Plus UD at CES this year, and our initial impressions were that the tech works pretty well. This could be an interesting option for phone manufacturers that don't want to go the face recognition way. This particular variant has been priced at 3,598 Chinese yuan and will start selling in China from March 28th. Now, the reason we are so interested in the under-display fingerprint sensor tech, besides the fact that it's new, is that Vivo's sister company OnePlus might be incorporating this in its upcoming flagship OnePlus 6 as well. Now, we don't have much information to go by when it comes to the LG G7 Neo other than a rendered image, but as you can see, even this leak shows that the phone will have a notch on its screen. Rumored specifications include a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 SoC with 4GB of RAM and 6GB of RAM options, along with either 64 or 128GB of storage. So these are some of the Android phones you can expect this year with notches, and for all things tech, log on to Gadgets360.com.